Stephen A. Smith is being called out for snitching, apparently, because one a day after was I think this was a day after. I gotta check
Hmm.
myself on the dates, but Russell Westbrook was ejected uh, during a game against the Mavericks because he committed like a flagrant two. No, not a flagrant two, but he was pushing and shoving. First, he like fouled Luca. Luca didn't appreciate the foul. PJ Washington got involved. PJ Washington, funny. PJ Washington, PJ Washington got involved. Defending his teammate. Westbrook pushed him, and things got touchy, and Westbrook got ejected. Westbrook is a fiery guy, and during a subsequent episode of First Take, Stephen A. Smith said he called the NBA league office to inquire as to why Russell Westbrook wasn't suspended because of how, in his eyes, egregious the offense that he committed was. And that caught a lot of people off guard. It caught a lot of people off guard who felt like Stephen A. Smith was just like doing the most. Like, why you gotta call the league office to try and get this guy suspended? So, this was an interesting piece of content. This says Stephen A. Smith, accused of snitching on Russell Westbrook, wanted him suspended for inexcusable behavior. Stephen A. Smith says he was so appalled by Russell Westbrook's behavior during Game 3 between the Dallas Mavericks and Los Angeles Clippers that he called the NBA's league office to figure out why he wasn't suspended. Appearing on ESPN on Sunday to discuss the series, Smith revealed that he found Westbrook's actions inexcusable. The star guard got into an altercation with Luka Doncic and PJ Washington and was ejected. With Westbrook returning to the floor, the Clippers ended up taking Game 4 on Sunday by a score of 116-111. I called the league office and I said, I need an explanation. Tell me why Russell Westbrook wasn't suspended, Smith said. Inexcusable behavior. That's what I saw. And I don't know why this isn't being talked about enough. To be quite honest with you, I was of the mindset that Russell Westbrook deserved to be suspended for today's game. That's how appalling his game was. Um, After the segment, many fans on social media accused Smith of snitching with his decision to call the league office. Among those to do so included Gilly the Kid, who shared a video of himself reacting to Smith's admission on Instagram. Metro Boomin, Kendrick Perkins, as well as Damian Lillard, and more celebrities commented on the post. Smith eventually addressed the backlash in a tweet on Sunday night. He wrote, I said it and I damn sure meant it because of his play on Friday. Knowing the league office would have normally suspended anyone for this, I called to ask why this was different. They explained and I get it. For those tripping that I called the league, it's my damn job, all of us. I don't know what he means by all of us, but so I'm not going to play the video of Gilly the Kid. You can click on that for yourself. So yeah, some people felt like Stephen A. Smith was doing a bit too much there. Like, why you got to call the league office? He got kicked out of the game. It's a playoff game. It's a high leverage situation. Why do you have to inquire as to whether he should have been suspended or not? So do you agree with the critics? You feel like Stephen A. was doing a little bit too much there?
Yeah, I think he was a little bit out of bounds on that. Even if he did do that, to even just air it out on air like that is just, to me, it was just in poor taste, all of it. And I don't understand what Stephen A. has against Westbrook, or the media has against Westbrook. I don't know what he's done. I don't know if he's like abrasive in the locker room. He's got a rep or something, but this guy can't live for nothing. Now, I've heard Stephen A. give Westbrook praise before, but I've also heard him just absolutely slander him before too.
Yeah.
I saw a clip of I guess it's fairly recent, where Stephen A. was talking about him and Kyrie, and you know, I think he stepped up to Kyrie or whatever, and I think Stephen A. was like, "Hey man, I just wanted to apologize for whoop de whoop." I guess I think that was what it was. But Kyrie said, "Hey, I don't think your beef is with me. I think it's with my father." So apparently Stephen A. had something going on with Kyrie's dad, which is why Stephen A. had venom in his heart whenever he spoke about Kyrie. So much like how Jalen Rose used to, not Jalen Rose, it was Jay Will was getting at Stephen A back in the day a couple years ago when he was like, "Hey man, you make stuff too personal with people. Like you get at people too much." And for this felt like one of Stephen A's personal digs. Again, I don't know what it is about Russ where he's got to get so much slander, but he seems to be an easy media target. We saw Draymond act an absolute ass all season long. Some of those he didn't even get suspended. Some of those games he didn't even get ejected. Especially the one he did with Patty Mills. He got a common foul on that. I didn't hear Stephen A getting on air talking about some league office. There's compilations right now of Joel Embiid just absolutely eradicating Knicks players, hitting them in the nuts, grabbing legs, doing
in midair while they're in the air,
hurting people. Common fouls, no calls. I'm not hearing you call the league office to launch an investigation on Joel Embiid. So why Russell Westbrook? So for my whole thing is, I don't know what they got against him, but to me it was a sucker play. If he was playing this down the middle all season long, all career long, I wouldn't have called him out on this. But to me, this seems a bit personal. Why? I don't know. But he needs to fall back is my whole thing. And once the league gave him the rundown, hey man, it was a flagrant. We call it flagrant. It was technicals, whatever. He got ejected. Whoopie whoop. It's what you saw. And then he want to get back on air talking about something. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Well, it didn't make sense before you called.
But he didn't explain it though.
Well, he saw.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He saw what they explained to him, and now he's going, okay, well, they did their due diligence. Yeah. Well, that's what they did. So my whole thing is that to me, this was just bogus. This was typical Stephen A behavior, just throwing players under the bus and having vendettas against people. It feels like. So, what are your thoughts, man, on Stephen A snitch going wild on Russell Westbrook?
I like that. Stephen A snitch. That's good. Very good. Very good. I like that. So he said he called the league office to ask why he wasn't suspended. And then he said the league office explained it to him and he gets it. So what I think he had an obligation to do at that point was to get onto TV again, whenever he was next on TV, First Take, whenever, to explain what they clarified to him. He had a responsibility, in my opinion, to do that. Like, explain what the league clarified to you so that people cannot think that this was a personal thing for you. Because if it's all because he said, if you look at those comments, right? So pulling up this tab to read this again. I'm not going to share it, but he said, for those tripping that I call the league, it's my damn job. All of us. Okay, so if it's your job, right? If it's your job, so he's speaking from the capacity of being someone who's a media person, a journalist, a reporter. So if it's your job, then it's also your job to report on what they told you. If the reason why you called them was for said clarification, which is what he said. He said, I called to have them explain to me why he wasn't suspended, because that's my job. All right, so if it's your job, it is therefore also your job to explain what they told you, because you're then reporting the news. You understand? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that.
So the fact that he didn't do that, though, is what's most problematic for me, because without him doing that, it makes it seem as though he's trying to be master power broker Stephen A. Smith, one of the most powerful people in the media voices guy, who thinks that he can just, rattle a few cages and call the league office and get responses because of how powerful he is. And that's what rubs this the wrong way for me, because people like him really do feel like, and I don't want to take anything away from his career because he worked at it. I don't like getting into stuff like that, because to me, He worked for a journalist. He worked as a journalist for over 20 years. He put in the work. He wasn't one of these microwave people who came up and now they're just able to reap all of these benefits, but they didn't really put work in like that. Like he was in the trenches. He did his job. He was a journalist for 20 years. He worked his way up. So he's at the point that he is at now. And so I respect the fact that he put the work in. So I don't want to take that away from him necessarily. But there's also this notion with people like him that they're kind of bigger than they actually are in terms of being people who can potentially influence decisions on entire companies and organizations like the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Like they probably didn't suspend him for a specific reason. If you want to know what that reason is, by all means call. But if you're going to do it under the pretense that it's about you doing your job, then you also have to do your job and explain what they told you. Because you have to report the news in its full effect.
I get that.
Without you doing that, it makes it seem to me as though you were trying to be some power broker, trying to get a better understanding of why the NBA made that decision, so that perhaps maybe sometime in the future you can be a part of the decision to maybe suspend somebody who does the same thing. And you don't deserve to be a part of that. You're not a part of the NBA apparatus. You're a media personality. You're not that powerful, bro. Like, I get it. You're a part of First Take. First Take, by all metrics, is the most watched sports show. So you're a powerful voice when it comes to sports media. You don't work for the NBA. You're not a part of the league office. You don't influence decision and policy on that level. But you going so far as to do this sort of tells me you feel as though perhaps you do have that level of influence.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I don't like about this. And so for me, he could have taken a lot of the air out of that ball by just telling us what the league told him. Report then.
That's
do
it.
your job and report the rest of the news.
Right.
But he just didn't do it, either because he felt he didn't have to or because that wasn't his original motivation. Either of those results to me is problematic. You should feel the obligation to do it, and you shouldn't and that shouldn't have been your motivation to be this power broker. But I just look at people like him, and there's others too. He's not the only one, but I just look at people like him. Some of these people in the media who've been doing this for so long, and they have an influential voice in the media, they look at themselves as like sports power brokers. You know, almost like they're lobbyists trying to like lobby for laws and policy and government. And it's like, bro, you're just a gas bag on television at the end of the day. You're not a journalist anymore. You're just a gas bag on TV. You're paid handsomely to give your opinions of sports on TV, but you're not this power broker. But some of these people really do want to be a more active participant in framing some of the legacies and outward perceptions of some of these players. And I don't think they deserve. And I don't think they deserve that much power.
No,
so that's the part. That's the part of it that rubbed me the wrong way. I don't want to take. I respect Stephen A. Smith for his career. I'll say that. I'll speak for myself. I respect where he has gotten to in his career because I do genuinely believe he put in some work. But that doesn't mean that you become this too big to fail person who's now this sports power broker and you can just maneuver things on the side like that. That part of it I don't like.
Well, just like how we talking in the Bronner situation, man, you can't stop Lane. And I don't care how hard he had to work, he does some lame stuff, and this is lame. And I don't know what it is, but again, you would think as a Knicks fan, he would be complaining about the Mitchell Robinson situation. But there's hits out on certain players. There's certain people you can talk about, and there's certain people that you don't talk about. Like LeBron in post game sitting there just throwing out expletives. You know, just being very unprofessional, rude. You know, it's like, hey, is there going to be a fine for this? LeBron, in the game last night, some ladies talking trash after LeBron's crying like a baby. A lady talking trash in the front row. LeBron walks up to her. He circles around the court, circles up to her, and then gives her a little jab. You know, like and she flinches and he laughs. Yeah, and it's footage of it. And so he's doing that. It's like, hey, is that not a fine? You going to investigate that, Steven? You going to call the league office about that? No. So why about Russell in that situation? In most situations, Once we see what happened, and then we see if somebody got fined or suspended, we'll find that out from the league. If we don't hear nothing, everybody goes, I guess it wasn't enough. But this guy goes, no, he should have been suspended for at least 8 games. That was his stance. I got to call in to see what's going on.
Right. Yeah. Like, who are you?
Yeah. And the league officer told me, I said, okay. Now that makes sense. No, that's what you saw on screen. That's what we all saw. They said they handled it. You think the league is just letting stuff go and, oh, we'll get to that in a couple business days? No, they saw it. They assessed it. They didn't suspend him. And, well, why didn't y'all? Well, all the stuff happened in the game. He got the tech. He got this. He got ejected. That was good enough. Nobody got hurt. Your boy Mitchell Robinson got hurt. So what are we doing, Stephen A? So that's my thing with the media. I don't understand. I feel like for certain players, there's hits out on them. And then they send a pit bull out to go get him. And either he got a green light for people he can attack and a no-fly zone. I don't know what it is, dude. It's super weird, but it's media stuff. And I guess only people in those green rooms really know what's going on. But to me, it was just weird behavior. And yeah, he want to play the card of, I'm a journalist now. No, you're not. You're a hot take machine. You're not a journalist. You've been left journalism alone. So for you to sit in here like you launching some investigation, like you're going to write some hit piece, stop it. You just wanted some tea for the thing, for first take. So yeah, man, I listen. He got to grind. He be out here working. You know what I'm saying? I mean, ESPN gonna give you 30 jobs. So he out here doing his thing, man. He making his check. So it's not coming from a level of hate. This is just a heavy level of critique of him, being too personal and not professional enough. So yeah, I think this was just too personal and not professional. And if he was being professional, he'd be uniform across the board, always making implications and always letting us know what the league said. But since it's the first time that I've heard this seems personal.
Yeah, I hear you. If it was really about doing a job in journalism, then he would have reported on First Take what the league told him to everybody.
Exactly.
But he didn't close that loop. So it was like less about this being your job journalistically and more about you just trying to be some media power broker.
Right.
That's what it felt like to me. But I'm not surprised because he has grown quite arrogant in his position. He's almost unfireable at this point by ESPN. He would have to do something really egregious. And when you're in that position, the guy just really does believe that he's I'll just say it again. I believe that he thinks he's like a media power broker. That's how he looks at himself. And as a power broker, he has the means to get on the phone and jockey with the league and get answers for stuff and maybe he does think that he can perhaps be a part of influencing decisions, but leave that up to the people who are paid to do it. You just give your opinions on TV like you're a gas bag, no more, no less.
Right. And honestly, and he did it with such confidence that he's done it before. And there's been some times I'm pretty sure that he can probably attest to it, but he would say, yeah, I feel like I had influence on that play. And he probably did. So this is just probably another one of his ways of, let me throw my weight around here a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I agree, man. To me, it's not professional.
I didn't like it. Yeah. We ain't with you on that one, Stephen A. Try again, bro.
Sorry, but dog. Try again.
Yeah.